Welcome back. First time I've worn my Pedersen jersey in a while. I've got two different Pedersen jerseys, just a disclaimer. And at no point in what has been a miserable season for him have I stated in a video ever they need to trade him. I've never stated that I've given up on him. I've stated that he's been having problems, and I think a lot of it's psychological. And today I think we saw, it is definitely psychological, right? So it's Demko versus Samsonov, the only game of the day. Vancouver with all the eyeballs on their game, and of course for Washington fans, a chance to see if Ovechkin continues to add to his historic run. No Garland in this game. He was put into protocols just before it started. No Carlson. He was into protocols for Washington. And Oshie's still out with an injury as well. So both teams dealing with some core guys out. And so we'd see how that would change things. Myers has a shot saved. There's an early press by the Canucks. Net feed to Dickinson wouldn't go, and there's more Canucks pressure. One thing that happened in Carolina, Tampa, and Florida, slow starts. Vancouver had problems out of the gate, right? Understandable. Three of the top teams. Washington's been struggling over the last, I'm going to say month. I'm going to say the last month has been a bit of a struggle for them. So Demko saves a Hathaway shot after a Pedersen turnover. Canucks were leading in shots 3-2, 5 minutes in. Protas can't bury one. Ovechkin steals. That rush is defended by OEL. Besser can't bury one. Another press by the Canucks. So it's waves of the Canucks out there. And it's weird because this is without Garland, who's like one of their spark plugs, right? Demko was way out. Eller gets it. No damage done. Now, if he'd put the puck in the net there, it would have been an offside goal. But still, Demko comes way out. And this is one of those, hey, maybe don't do that kind of moments. Anyways, Mott with a rush chance. That's fired wide. Then there's a delay game call. And the Caps get a power play out of it. There was some debate about whether or not that was going to be called. And then they've called it. Wilson has a shot that's saved. Demko saves a chance from Schultz as well. Ovechkin fires one high. Backstrom sends a rebound wide. And then the power play goal happens. It's Ovechkin from Schultz, and Kuznetsov at 10:31. That is 756 goals now for Ovechkin. He ties Leon Draisaitl for the league lead. And that's his 276th career power play goal. So that goal that he had the other night that was right on the verge, they did call that a power play goal. And so this one puts him 2 ahead of Andrechuk with 276. So the Caps had been 0 for their last 20 at home coming into this. So the Canucks penalty kill, which came into today at 68.8%, dropped. It dropped. This is the one thing for the Canucks that I still have tremendous concerns with is the penalty kill. Canucks try to answer. Horvat has a rush chance that fires high. McMichael has a shot that saved Samsonov, then saves an OEL chance. Some good back and forth chances as well. And again, the Canucks are only down by 1. This isn't the same as Carolina, Tampa, Florida here. Protas robs Pearson of a goal in the last minute, or so it appeared. That puck may have been headed wide. So either way, Protas with a nice defensive play. And then with 23.1 seconds left, was it a delay of game call? No. The officials get together and they decided to deflect it off the glass. So no delay of game call. So Protas doesn't save a goal, and there was no delay of game to be had either. So there you go. However, with 9 seconds left, Dowd takes an interference call, former Vancouver Canuck Nick Dowd. And so the Canucks do get a power play with 9 seconds left instead of with 23 seconds left. So that rolls over into the second period. And the Canucks score. It's Pedersen from Horvat and Hughes at 33 seconds, I should say. The penalty kill for Washington's been very good. So this is an encouraging sign for the Canucks that they get the power play goal here. Their power play's been hit and miss during the year. And so it was nice to see this. And not only that, but Pedersen, probably the nicest goal he's scored this season. And while it's great to see, guys like Mott and Highmore getting chances and, getting some offensive contributions, for the Canucks, it's been their top 6 that hasn't been producing. It's like the inverse of what the Oilers have gone through, where they're just getting the goals usually from their top guys and they're not getting the depth. For Vancouver, it's kind of been the opposite over this road trip. Canucks then look for another. Burrows chose violence on Irwin. He just rained punches down on him. Now here's where it's odd. So it's 4 minutes for each guy, for Kyle Burrows as well as for Irwin, because he got punched in the head. So you got to give him 4 minutes, send him off. But what's funny is it starts with Hathaway poking at a puck underneath Demko. This is why I talked about Hathaway yesterday. I talked about his penalty minutes. He starts this, and he never gets a penalty out of it. At least it feels like he doesn't get a penalty out of it. Hathaway starts so many he digs, and yeah. So we end up with two guys getting penalties, neither of them being Garnet Hathaway. It's like he starts the whole mess, and then he just skates away like, yeah, they're all fighting in the corner. I don't know how that happened. Curious. Canucks press. The Caps were shot blocking, but then at 4:48, it's Pettersson with a smart move. And this is where I think it's a sign that the confidence was there today. He banks it in off Samsonov, so he kind of does the math in his head, right? A little bit of geometry here, and it goes in. From Ekman, Larson, and Höglander at 4:48, the Canucks, for the first time on this road trip, had a lead. They haven't even had a lead in the entire road trip. Besser then has a shot that's blocked. Sprong with a break. He was denied by Demko. Demko had a very good game. Dickinson with a rush chance. That was saved. The Caps pressed, but they weren't getting shots at this point in the game. McMichael has a chance that's blocked. Ovechkin has a rush chance that's saved. And then Caps with a 3-on-1 and Ovi with a shot that was saved. Now, here's the funny thing. So Brad Hunt in the last game, he threw a hit that didn't go anywhere, and it leads to a 3-on-1 for Svechnikov. So Hunt wasn't in this game. Burrows was in instead. On this 3-on-1, Burrows pinched and kind of in that way caused the 3-on-1 for the Caps. So I guess that number 6 defenseman has to cause a 3-on-1. That's how that works. Now, Caps press with 8:30 left. The shots were evening up. The shots were heavily favoring Vancouver early in that second period. But yeah, the Caps start fighting back into this. Miller with a shot, deflects wide. Dowd has a break. Nearly fools Demko on that break as well. Canucks press in the final 5 minutes. Besser was denied. Myers with a shot that's blocked. Hughes hits the outside of the net. Things get scrummy with 1:43 seconds left, and Hathaway gets the penalty. Hathaway finally gets a penalty there. So, he gets a penalty. The Canucks go to their power play. It is their second power play, and they score on it. The penalty kills had a problem today. Horvat scores from Miller and Hughes, and it just worked. This is a power play that has had its struggles, and it just worked here. So, we're looking at a 3-1 lead for Vancouver going into the third period. As we go into the third, they mention the records. Vancouver 11-1 when they lead after 2. Washington 1-6-4 when they trail after 2. So Vancouver very good with the lead. They also mentioned how good Vancouver's record is. I think they said they were 12-1 when they score 3 or more goals. That's pretty standard around the league, that if you score 3 or more goals, you have a very good chance of winning. And if you score 7 or more goals regularly, you're probably Colorado or Florida. So, yeah, the Caps press early. Trevor Van Riemsdyk had a shot that was blocked. There's a net feed to Wilson that's defended. Miller has a rush chance to lead. It leads to the Canucks press. Miller can't bury one. The interesting thing, too, is that Miller with an assist in the second period, when he doesn't get a point, the Canucks have lost every game. So when Miller gets a point, somehow that means the Canucks are going to have a good game. Then at 5:55, the Caps get a power play. At 6:22, so 27 seconds into that power play, they score on it. It's Wilson from Kuznetsov and Backstrom. And so, it goes off Myers sticking in. And again, this is the one thing for the Canucks. Like, losing against Carolina, Tampa, and Florida, not necessarily a surprise, right? They've got to figure out that penalty kill. It is one thing that absolutely could sink any hopes they would have of being a playoff team, not just because their record, even with this win today, their record is shaky, but as you get into the second half of the season, if your penalty kill's terrible, it could cause you to have to change the way you play. You play a little more tentative. You don't want to take those penalties, and it may lead to more opportunities for the other team, right? Canucks would get their third power play. That one was killed off, and it was a pretty good penalty kill by the Caps. Caps rushed right after it was done. Höglander then had a backhander that was saved, and it was held exactly at the 10-minute mark by Samsonov, who looked shaky today. Samsonov looked pretty shaky. I know his save percentage ends up being good. He bobbled the puck a lot. So Highmore has a shot Highmore blocks a shot as the Caps press. That one looked like it hurt. Apparently it hit him on the foot. 4:46 left. The Caps get a too many men call. Laviolette didn't look happy with the call whatsoever. The Canucks, with that power play then, Hughes has a shot that's blocked. Really strong penalty kill. Eller has a shorthanded chance that was saved, and he forces Demko to hold on to it. So there's a face-off at the Canucks end. Highmore nearly banks one in, but that penalty is killed off. So Highmore has been around the net a lot. I've been impressed with Highmore in recent weeks, and so nice to see him around the net. Doesn't get a point today, but he's around the net. Shen then had a shot that was saved and held. They would pull the goaltender with 2 minutes left. Pettersson beats out an icing call. I thought it was a really good skate there by Pettersson. Again, it's those little plays that make a difference, because that means that now they've got an extra, 15, 20 seconds to try to get the puck out and try to, do something with it. Besser then beat out an icing as well, and they get the empty netter. Besser beats out the icing call, puts it over to Miller. Miller makes no mistake, and at 19:02, he gives the Canucks their 4th goal and a 2-goal lead. The Caps then call a timeout. They would pull the goaltender in the final 30 seconds, but the Canucks win this one 4-2 in Washington. They hadn't won against Washington in their last 5 meetings coming into this, so that record of 4-0-1 that the Caps had against the Canucks, that's done. The Canucks go to 17-18-3 with the win. The Caps drop to 21-9-9. And as I stated, in recent videos I'm talking about this, the one team in the East that looks kind of precarious in their positioning is Washington. So while we see this huge separation between the top 8 that are in the playoffs and the bottom 8 that are outside the playoffs, Washington's the one that for me seems kind of shaky. And I don't know how many more games they lose before we start hearing talks about Washington needing to make some potentially decent-sized changes. I'm not going to say major changes because that core is not going anywhere. But yeah, there may need to be some changes. Who knows? Maybe they're in on Evander Kane, right? So the 3 stars in this one were Pettersson, Horvat, and Kuznetsov. Very happy to see Petey back, in the 3 stars and having a really good game. I've never done a video speculating about Pettersson being traded. And again, I've talked about his struggles, but I've never thought it was physical. I've always thought it was more of along the mental side of it. So the shots in this one favored Vancouver in the first 16-11, and then Washington does outshoot Vancouver 11-8 in the second, as well as 11-8 in the third. They lead in the shots at the end of this, 33-32. Power plays, Vancouver 2 for 4, Washington 2 for 2. So that is, again, that penalty kill came in today at 68.8%. It dropped. And it's something that Vancouver really needs to fix. Your hits, 27-25 for Vancouver. Demko saves 31 out of 33. I'm kind of surprised he wasn't in the 3 stars. Samsonov, 28 out of 31 saves at the other end. And again, a little shaky at points today. And so, yeah, the Caps, it's a frustrating setback for them against a team. You look at this on your schedule and you say, hey, it's a long road trip. We get the Canucks in here. That should be 2 points. They don't get that. I thought they'll probably tie this, get it to overtime. They've got 9 losses in overtime and shootouts. At least they get a point. They don't get that either. So, again, we'll see what happens with Washington. But for the Canucks, solid road game, solid victory. Now they move on Tuesday. They play in Nashville. So that could be interesting because Nashville, a little bit of a rough week for them in the past 7 days. We'll see if they take it out on the Canucks on Tuesday. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happen upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.